Peace and light, family. So I was on the way home today and I was listening to the interview that Oprah did on CBS Morning Show with Gayle King. And she was talking about her decision to back out of the Russell Simmons documentary. So if you don't know, Oprah was executive producing a documentary about the Russell Simmons accusers. And the documentary is allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly because I haven't seen it myself. So if I haven't seen it myself, then I always say allegedly. But the documentary is allegedly, the documentary is allegedly about the accusers of Russell Simmons telling their side of the story and everything that happened. So if you don't know, Oprah backed out of the documentary. She took her name off of it, backed out as an executive producer, and said she didn't want to be a part of it. People were thinking that the reason that she did that was because Russell Simmons had spoken out. Once the news came out that this documentary was going to come out, Russell Simmons spoke out and was basically like, you know what, Oprah, I thought we were friends. Like, how could you do this? He wrote like a long soliloquy. He wrote like a long soliloquy about the whole issue. And he was like, look, Oprah, I thought that we were friends. You know, he was like, I gave you a copy of The Alchemist, which I thought was hilarious. The Alchemist is one of my favorite books. But I thought it was funny how he was like, yo, I gave you a book. You know, he was like, I put you onto The Alchemist. Like, I've been on your show. We've talked a lot. Like, what's up with you, basically? So people thought that she backed out because he put the pressure on her. Well, peace, I love you too. So he basically, Oprah went on the CBS Morning Show and basically was like, listen, I didn't back out for any reason dealing with Russell Simmons. She was like, a Russell Simmons, which I thought was hilarious. She said, a Russell Simmons, like he's a thing. A Russell Simmons could never pressure me to back out of anything. And she basically was just sharing her side of the story. Like, I'm not backing out of the documentary because of Russell Simmons. She said the reason she decided to step down was because she felt like, now listen, she said she felt like the documentary wasn't highlighting all of the accusers that she wanted in the documentary. She basically wanted more women to be a part of it. And she also said that there were parts of the story that weren't adding up. And she wanted to make sure that the documentary covered the complete context of the story. Now, for me, that raised the red flag. Because what it sounded like was basically she saying that a part of their story, some of their stories may not add up. And she doesn't want the women whose stories don't add up to affect the women who she believes are telling the truth. And she made sure to say, like, look, I believe all women. I believe all of them. I believe all of the accusers. Now, that triggered like a lot of thinking for me because yesterday, I spoke on my live yesterday about the situation with Tisha Campbell Martin and Martin. So, you know, Gina from Martin. Same sis that I call bull. Listen, okay? And where's that Harvey Weinstein doc? I agree with you on that. But yeah, like Tisha Campbell Martin basically came out yesterday and was like, you know, the past sexual assault allegations she had, or sexual harassment allegations she made against Martin, she kind of backed away from those and was like, you know, we talked about it, we're good now. Martin said it was BS. I was about to say Gina, but Tisha Campbell Martin never said that, no, it's not BS, they were true. She just said we talked about it and we resolved it. Now, I have an issue with that because, as I said in my live yesterday, that's a man's legacy. That's someone's reputation that forever will have that asterisk on it. When people talk about the Martin show, they always talk about how great it was, how amazing it was funny, it showed black love, Martin and Pam, Martin and Gina, Pam and Gina. It was so many dynamics of friendship and laughter and love in the black community that weren't shown on TV at that time. But there's always that asterisk there that the show ended because of the sexual assault allegations. Now, for her to come out years later and say, oh, we talked about it and we're over it, Martin is still holding strong from the beginning till now. He's like, look, that was not true. It was not fact. Now, she's not saying like, no, it did happen and no, these are facts. She's basically saying like, we squashed it. Now, granted, sis reminded me yesterday that she signed an NDA, which an NDA is a non-disclosure agreement, meaning she cannot discuss details of it. But to say, he can say, no, that was BS. He also signed an NDA. He can say, no, that was BS. She has the right to say it actually was true, but We talked about it and we're cool now. She's not saying it's true. And for me, that just makes me wonder, like, damn, was it true? You know, like, it makes me question. And it brings me to, like, this Russell Simmons thing with the accusers and Oprah just choosing to do this documentary, then not doing it because she feel like certain parts of the story weren't adding up or they weren't being told in the full context. For me, it just makes me uncomfortable. So that brought me to the question of, is the Me Too movement problematic? Is the Me Too movement problematic? The Me Too movement was founded by Tarana Burke, who's a black woman. And her initial intention with founding the Me Too movement was to make a space for black women to be able to say, it happens to us too. Me too. Like, we get sexually assaulted. We get harassed. We get discriminated against. It was a way to give black women a voice to say, hey, we're here and we are also marginalized. And if not, we're marginalized more than anyone else because we have to start a movement just to say that we're marginalized, right? So the intention was, according to Tarana Burke, was for black women to have that voice to say, listen, me too. These things happen to me too. And gratefully, yes, they took over it. But honestly, I don't think that, so I was going to say gratefully the movement has spread. And I say gratefully, I think it's a positive thing that the movement has spread across cultures because it gave women a voice to be able to say, like, listen, we get sexually harassed, we get sexually assaulted, and this is a problem that is often overlooked. Now, the problem, and where I agree with you, sis, is they took it over. They took it over to where it's no longer about the black woman's voice. It's no longer about women in color's voice, period. I feel like women of color's voice, period. I feel like now it's just about white women being able to say, like, look, me too. And it's because white women are now the face of the Me Too movement. And that is an issue. However, something that I noted from Oprah's interview is Gail said, I just find it funny that people would think that you, of all people, aren't going to defend black women. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but some of the women who are accusing Russell Simmons, it are black women. Some of the women who are accusing him are black women. Which always puts me in a juxtaposition because even the same thing with Bill Cosby. Like we all did. Come on now. I loved Heathcliff Huxtable. I loved the Cosby Show. I grew up on a different world. A different world made me want to go to a HBCU. I loved it. However, when all the allegations came out about him, I'm just being 100% transparent. I was one of those people who was like, Bill ain't do that. No. But when I saw a black woman stand up and say, no, it happened to me too, that honestly made me kind of pause in my tracks and second guess a little bit. So I say that to say there's power of giving black women the platform to speak their truth. And if Oprah's intention with the Russell Simmons documentary was to highlight black women being sexually assaulted, then I respect that. Because I love hip hop. I've loved hip hop. So I am a huge Russell Simmons fan. I love everything he did with Def Jam. I watched all the Def Jam documentaries and everything like that. I was a huge Russell Simmons fan. And if you know Russell Simmons, you know that he admits to being very sexually promiscuous. He admits to doing a lot of drugs, a lot of cocaine back in the day. And once the accusations came out, he even said, like, look, some things may have transpired, but from my recollection, everything was consensual. He said that, yes, Def Jam was everything. What happened to them now? That's like a side note. Def Jam, what's up, y'all? Like, they completely just... Come on, Def Jam. After Jay-Z stopped being president, notice that Def Jam kind of fell off, but I think they're going to come back. They've been tweeting good. But anyway, I really just think that I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Simmons actually did this. If he actually did sexually assault some people or sexually harass women. He's been very well known to make inappropriate comments, so on and so forth. They got the tapes. What tapes, sis? Put me on. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did that. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he did it. Now, my thing is the Me Too movement problematic in the sense that we are now automatically assuming that, my phone just said 10%. I got my phone on the charger. I don't understand why it's saying it's 10%, but we're going to get this done, okay? But I don't know why we are automatically assuming that all women are telling the truth. And that's where I think it's problematic, honestly. I think it's my problem is the amount of time that passes before someone speaks up. I understand that the pain never, okay, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about that. But I think it's problematic simply because we automatically believe, oh, yes, from back in the day, the Def Jam DVDs, that's what you know about that. But anyway, back to the topic. So I think it's problematic that we automatically believe all women from the very beginning, even if their story isn't adding up. And I think that because of the Me Too movement, society is hesitating to question the accuracy of a woman's story. It's like Russell Simmons, Bill Cosby, so many other people are just automatically being taken down in the eyes of society as soon as a woman steps up and accuses them of sexual assault or sexual harassment. And I have an issue with that, honestly, because just being real, y'all, all women are not telling the truth. All women are Cuba Gooding Jr. Now, sis, Cuba Gooding, he give me a little creep vibe. Cuba don't give you a little creep vibe. I mean, not to say he did, but yeah, I just think that we are apt to automatically believe these women. And my issue with that is just, like I said, all women are not telling the truth. Creep vibes. All women are not telling the truth. And with all women not telling the truth, what we are doing is we are killing people's legacy over potential maybes. Innocent until proven guilty. I am very much that person. Now, I don't care, black, white, whatever. I don't care. If you are a perv, you are a perv and you deserve to be in prison. I don't care who you are. If you are a perv, you deserve to be in prison. We do not do pervs, period. That's just how I feel. Ain't no argument, ain't no debate, no none of that. If you are a perv, go to prison. However, everybody ain't a perv. Some women do lie. And I'm speaking from both sides of the coin. As far as I have been sexually assaulted. I have been sexually harassed. I have been sexually abused. So I myself have been a victim of that. And I myself was one of those people who never spoke up and never said anything. So I understand like the not saying anything for years, because I'm just going to be honest. 3 sides to a story. That's a fact. I'm going to be honest, like addressing the women taking a long time to come out. When you are sexually abused or sexually assaulted, the first thing you do is you wonder what you did to cause this. What you did for this to happen to you. What did I do? Was it what I was wearing? Was it what I said? And I was very young. And I still was like, maybe I shouldn't have had that shirt on. Maybe I shouldn't have had that. I'm talking about I was young. And still question that. Like, maybe I shouldn't have wore tights to bed. Maybe I shouldn't have had on a short sleeve shirt. Like, maybe I was doing something wrong. Yes, I felt shamed. And I felt like it was my fault. And then I went into the phase of being in deep denial for years. Like, no, it didn't happen. No, maybe he didn't know it was me. Maybe it didn't happen. Like, not that I knew that it had happened, but I was like, maybe he didn't mean to do it. Maybe his intention wasn't to do that stuff. Like, maybe he didn't know it was me. Maybe he thought I was somebody else. I went through phases, a long period of denial. And what snatched me out of the denial is I was talking to my friend, and I explained to her what happened. This is years later. And my friend was like, no, sis, like, what? Girl, you bugging out. Like, she was like, girl, no, he knew what he was doing. Like, are you crazy? Like, come on now. And she made me realize, like, okay, this really did happen. And then after that, it was years of, okay, so this happened. This is what it was. You can't deny it. What are you going to do with that information? What are you going to do? And honestly, I chose to keep it to myself. And I never spoke about it, never shared it. If anybody in my family is watching this, they're going to be like, girl, what? Because and to this day, I haven't even spoken about it to my family. Because it's like, then what? Then what? You tell people then what, especially if you come from a family where there's already destruction and there's already devastation. You don't want to add to the misery. You don't want to add to the problems. So I might as well just keep it to myself. And a lot of women feel that. So I don't hold against any woman them choosing to wait to come out. I don't hold that against any woman, because you never know what caused them to keep that information in. However, what I will say is I also don't believe every woman. As someone who has been sexually abused, sexually assaulted, I listen very intently to those stories, because one thing I will tell you, and I'm a Scandal fan, and I love an episode of Scandal. I forgot what season, what episode, but someone was accusing a politician of sexually assaulting her, and she was forgetting details of the story. And Olivia Pope said to her, she was like, when a woman is sexually assaulted, when something like that happens to a woman, you remember everything. And I can second that notion. I remember what was playing on the TV. I remember what he smelled like. I remember what I was wearing. I remember what how the atmosphere looked. I remember the way the bed felt. I remember every single detail, the sheets that was on the bed. Yes, sis, everything. I remember every detail. So I listened to the stories, and I listened to them again and again and again and again, and I ask questions, because I feel like when a woman is telling the truth, you know it. When a woman is being honest about that, you know it. You know that she's telling the truth. You know she's being honest. You feel it. And I've been in situations very recently where this is a lot of information, but an old co-worker of mine accused a black man of sexually assaulting her. And I knew she was lying. And I knew she was lying because when she came back and told the story, she told it different than she told it the first time. And then when I asked her questions about it the next day, things in the story was a little different again. And that's why we can't believe every woman. That's why we can't. And when I turned around after months later, it was a whole big thing. Months later, I confronted her about it. And I was like, sis, I knew you was lying. And she admitted that she lied. She didn't even remember the original story she told. When I told her the story she told, she was like, I said that. I didn't say that. I was like, sis, and it was, thank God, it was another person there. But the other person was like, you told us that he did this, this, and this to you. And you know what she said? I must have forgot what happened. Wait a minute, sis. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. If that investigation did not happen and it wasn't revealed that this woman was lying, that man could have lost everything. This is a person who has been on that job for over 20-something years. He could have lost everything. Everything. And see, that's my thing. Should we believe women? Yes. But we should believe women who are telling the truth. How do you know if a woman is telling the truth? You just got to feel it. You got to investigate. You got to be sure. My thing is, I'm not just believing everybody who comes out with a story and a finger pointing. And that's where the Me Too movement is problematic. I love the movement itself. I love the fact that it's giving women a platform to tell their truth and share their stories. I love that. But what I do not like is that we are not investigating. We're not asking questions. We're not taking into account, does this man have a history of this behavior? Have we seen this man be inappropriate? Have we seen this man do things that shouldn't be done? Now, with R. Kelly, we saw that. Okay? Like R. Kelly, we saw that. We saw that a mile away. It's proof with that. His whole relationship with Aaliyah alone. Come on now. We know that that's true. But if we have not seen signs of this behavior, I'm not saying that means he didn't do it, because just because he hasn't shown us public signs doesn't mean that he's not prone to that behavior. But what I am saying is, we haven't seen signs of that behavior. Let's ask questions, y'all. Let's take a second. Let's take a pause. Let's take a minute and just breathe and say, all right, let me assess this situation. Let's not be so quick to write people off. Let's not be so quick to say, all right, you did it. His victims from 2010 on up have no excuses. who's victim from 2010? You talking about R. Kelly's victims from 2010? If you're talking about R. Kelly's victims, I agree with you, because we all knew who R. Kelly was. However, we all knew who R. Kelly was, but we all was bumping Remix to Ignition, and we was happy people and Stepping in the Name of Love. We can't deny that. Stepping in the Name of Love was #1 on 106 & Park for a long time, so we all was dead wrong. And that's also it too, like, a part of the Me Too movement is taking accountability to the people who aid and abet these individuals who are pervy. And then also holding accountable the people who aid and abet the women who aren't telling the truth. Like, we gotta hold everybody accountable. Let's hold the pervs accountable, and let's also hold the liars accountable. You know, we gotta. I'm for equal treatment. I'm for justice on both sides. Because what's happening now is the movement is becoming watered down. What's happening now is it's like, oh, another one. Oh, dang, another one. Especially with black people. Because like sis said earlier, where's the Harvey Weinstein documentary? Where the documentary for the white people who we know for sure are out here doing the same thing? And they have the same amount, if not more, accusers. Where are they documentaries? Why is it only our black heroes who are being torn down in this way? I don't understand. So overall, is the Me Too movement problematic? I think it is very problematic when it is not used correctly. Does it have a lot of positives? Absolutely. It's giving women a voice, a platform to say we will no longer tolerate this. We will speak up. I agree with that. Yes, why don't women face charges when it's proven that they lied? I agree with that. Yes, like the woman who lied on the football. I agree with that. I do feel like if you get caught lying, you should face charges. I do agree with that sentiment. But overall, like I said, the Me Too movement was a great movement, once again, founded by Tarana Burke to give black women a voice to say Me Too. I do think it's positive that the movement has spread across cultures. I think the negative and problematic side is that we are quick to believe everyone and tear down the legacy of people who there may not be enough proof. There may not be enough evidence. So that's just my overall view and opinion. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. I appreciate the energy. Thank you for commenting. I appreciate y'all voice. But I was just in my feelings, honey, and I just had to share. Before you go, I'm loving that copper ring. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, when I open my shop, I definitely will have jewelry in there. Most of this stuff I make myself. People always ask me where I get my jewelry. Most of my jewelry I make myself, and then pieces that I don't make, like this one right here. I got this from a brother in Atlanta, who I'll let y'all know who he is. I'll do a whole separate thing about that. But yeah, there will be jewelry on the site. There will be crystals. There will be sage, herbs, all of the good stuff. But I'll definitely put y'all on. Much love. I'm going to post this. You say you wish you would have got the notification sooner. I'm going to post this on my channel. But I'm trying to hurry up and end it before my phone dies so I don't lose it. All right. Much peace. Much love. Y'all. Thank you for joining the conversation. And let me know your feelings in the comments below. Do you think the Me Too movement is problematic? And if you disagree with me, feel free to disagree. I'm always open for conversation and discussion. Never any arguments. Never any ill will. I'm always open to conversation and discussion. Much love. Pieces. Shout out to Kelly Parker. I love you, girl. I love you. Much peace.